What's up, everybody? Jay with Pop-Up TV and Hard Plastic Show. And today I'm just going to do a random movie review. I'm not very good at these, but I'm going to try to just talk about it in a structured way, I guess. So today's movie that we are talking about is Predator: Badlands. And honestly, this movie really surprised me. Now, first I'm going to start with the history of me and Predator. There is no history of me and Predator. I'm really not a fan of this franchise in particular. I've only seen maybe 2 of the movies before Prey, and I don't remember them. Not really, I don't remember them at all, so I can't say like, oh, I'm a huge fan of the Predator franchise. I am not. But I think since the movie Prey came out, I took more of an interest in it. And I think this movie, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who also directed and wrote the Predator animated film, I forget what it's called, and also the Predator Prey movie. I don't think Dan actually wrote Prey. I think he just kind of helped with the story. Predator: Badlands. And this is not going to have spoilers at all. This is going to be my short rant about the movie and how people are receiving it, and maybe I'll do like a spoiler thing. The movie is basically a movie about family, and I think maybe some people have an issue with that. Maybe some people don't like the fact that, especially because Disney is now running things, basically running everything, there's gonna always be more of a family aspect to their films, and also obviously gonna be a very heroic aspect to their story. And there's also gonna be a character that's probably annoying, a character that probably talks a lot, a character that you can probably sell merchandise off of. That's just the way it is. And I think if you're able to kind of like put that to the side, but also remember that it's gonna be there, you can't do anything to avoid it, you can probably give these Disney movies a fair judgment. Not all of them are great. I've seen plenty of Disney movies in the past year and television programs from Disney in the past year. They're not good at all. They're terrible. But I do think it's getting to the point where it's kind of getting ridiculous. And some of the good films that Disney is producing, some of the good films and shows that Disney is producing are starting to kind of get a bad rap from people that are just outraged at the fact that Disney is in control of things. And I understand. I know fans of the Indiana Jones franchise specifically were not at all satisfied with that last movie. And we could talk for days about Star Wars. But I think this was a really good film. So regardless of this being like a Disney movie or not, I think it was just a really good film because of the story, because of the cinematography, because of the acting, because of all the visuals, because of even the score and the music. Every aspect of this film, I think, was just really good, even if you separate it from being a Predator movie, even if you separate it from being a Disney movie, especially if you separate it from being a Disney movie. And you may ask, why should I? Why should I separate it from being a Disney movie? It is a Disney movie. I'll tell you why you should separate it from being a Disney movie. Because in your head, and my head too, I'm not just accusing you, I think our conception of what a Disney movie is the Disney movies we saw as kids. And that's understandable because there are certainly several aspects of those movies that Disney has now taken and now put into these movies that they produce and give to us today. So I understand that. But you should separate it because it's not those movies. And not every Disney produced film or movie studio Disney owns that makes a movie is literally trying to, be a Pixar movie or be the Emperor's New Groove or something like that. I don't think you should look at it that way. I honestly even would say that if this movie came out just as it is with no changes, but was under any other studio, say maybe randomly like a A24 or Paramount or, anything like that, I don't think there would be this wave of negativity that's coming from it. And while there certainly is a lot of positivity, I'm not going to sit here and act like everyone's been bashing this movie. From what I've seen, for the most part, people online, especially like YouTubers and stuff, really have appreciated the film. But on Reddit and on the more cynical side of the internet, I think people really have just been kind of like eating this up for no reason. But before I get into all of that, let me give you the base of this story in case you're watching this and you haven't seen it yet and you're just wondering, what is this even really about? So it is about a young predator named Dek. Dek is a predator who is very unlike the rest of predators that you have seen because he's kind of the runt of the group. I think the word runt is actually even used in the film by his father against him. Because this is not like a spoiler video, I'm not going to talk about or go into detail about what is going on in the innards of his family with him and his brother, but it is just him, his brother, and his father. And Dek needs to really prove that he deserves to be a predator and earn all the tools, all the armor, all the things that come with being 100% predator. I think they call himself the Yatsua or something like that. So if he can do this, it means something to him and means something to his family, which is all the predators care about, being predators and about their clan, their family. Now, of course, to get that done, he has to prove himself by going on a journey. This is what this is. It's just like a hero's journey story, nothing too crazy. And on that journey, he meets other characters And again, not all these characters are characters like Deck. And I think that's some people's main problem, is that this is the least Predator movie of all the Predator movies that they feel, because it's not fixated on just the Predator. And I think people are also not accustomed to having to root for the Predator, at least not in the way of actually story-wise. They want to see bloodshed, they want to see slaughter, they want to see the Predator do that. But I guess as fans, they've never had to see a Predator go through emotional turmoil or any kind of emotion at all. And yes, you see emotion in this film. I wouldn't see you see a lot of emotion from Deck. I've seen some people complain that he doesn't act like a Predator for the majority of this movie. I think that's incorrect, and that's a little bit of that's taking it a bit far. He acts like a Predator for the entirety of the movie. I think he just eventually learns that there are other emotions outside of just caring about your clan. And I think that's a really good lesson to learn, and an even more interesting lesson to see a character learn through film. So that's the base story as far as what's going on in the movie without any spoilers. Outside of that, I'm gonna now talk about what I found to be the negatives about the movie, because it's not perfect. The main negative for me about this movie, I think, is yes, at sometimes there are moments that are, I guess you can call cute or family moments. The adrenaline of the film, I think, is kind of persistent throughout, and then like you want that. You want the high energy, you want like the killing, the bloodshed and stuff like that. And you do get that, but of course it takes breaks to give you those soft, cuddly moments. And I didn't like that. But I understand it, and understanding brings maturity and realizing that maybe you can't just be mad at things if you understand what they're going for. So outside of that, the only other thing I think I didn't really like was sometimes the character that everyone else is kind of annoyed with, but not for the same reasons. I think everyone is annoyed with this character. In this video, I'm not going to get into specifics about the character. But everyone is annoyed with this character, I think, because it's just a very talkative character. And it's a very funny character. I think this character is also intended to be comic relief, which, you know, kind of expected, like I said. But sometimes it gets to a point where it's a little bit too much. But that is the intent of the scene at that moment. It's trying to annoy Deck and annoy the audience. So that's the point. So I can't really knock it for that. But that character also, I think, has kind of a metamorphosis and kind of goes through something itself where it learns like, oh, I might not know everything. And that is so cool to see on film. And I think, yes, the personality of that character is annoying, but the character itself completely integral to the movie and to the story. So I can't complain about that character. Then there's another character that even this character, I also understand people not liking, but I also kind of think you're overdoing it, because this character isn't even featured throughout the entirety of the film like the other two characters. This character is important to the story also, but not in every single scene the way some people were making it seem it was before I saw the film. So those two things, I think, just the characters, two of the characters were a bit annoying, and then some of the cutesy moments I think got in the way of a steady adrenaline rush. But outside of that, no complaints with this film. Now to talk about other people's complaints and what I don't agree with. A lot of people are complaining that this movie's two characters that I spoke about that are annoying are just annoying throughout the entirety of the movie. They don't belong there, get rid of them. I've seen some people say get rid of them. I don't even understand how this story stays the same if you get rid of those two characters. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe these people do not even like this story at all. Something else that a lot of people complained about prematurely was the rating. This is a PG-13 rated Predator movie, and even Prey, the Predator movie before this, the live action Predator movie before this, was rated R. I'm not sure what the animated movie is rated. I'd have to double check. But this film, Badlands, gets away with being PG-13 because there's no real human bloodshed, because there's really no humans in this film. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I don't really think there's one single real human, if I'm not mistaken. And so all the bloodshed is either green Predator blood, which is green, it's not red at all, or it's the blood of some sort of monster, or like just some living creature in the jungle. So yeah, I understand why there's no R rating, and there's no team of Marines or tough guys that are just cursing up a storm, so there's really no bad language either. So of course we're gonna get a PG-13 rating. Do I think the PG-13 rating hurt the film? I don't think so, not for me. I didn't even really think about the rating while I was watching it, so to me that was not an issue, but I did see a lot of people complain about that. Now, outside of that, I'm just gonna talk as much as I can without spoilers, all right? This is a film about family. If you're someone who does not understand family or doesn't have family or never understood having to prove yourself to family or the expectation of family or the expectation of your siblings, the expectation you have for your siblings, your belief you have for your siblings. I can go on and on about this, but I understand also that some people did not grow up in an environment like that. Even if they did grow up in an environment like that, they don't care for it. They don't want to hear a story about that. They don't want to see a story about that. So again, completely understandable, but that is what this movie is about. And I think especially if you like stories about brothers and fathers, you definitely will like this story. And outside of the story, let's say story does not matter to you, you're a hardcore Predator fan, all you care about is the fighting, the violence, and the bloodshed. All of that is here. Listen to me, I promise you, it's all here. It may not be against a bunch of humans or any group of predators that have a mouth, right? That's all I can say. But a lot of the violence happens and it is on screen and there's bloodshed and there's like you're gonna be like, wow, that happened. All of that is there. So I don't think that is something to complain about or to say wasn't present in the film either. So to me, that was a highlight. I wasn't expecting a lot of it. I walked into this movie thinking it's gonna be like Prey, because I think Prey was a lot more timid. Prey was great, but Prey I think was a lot more timid as compared to this movie. So I thought this was gonna be maybe just a little turned up version of Prey. And it was a lot more than that. I think this, people were clapping. I saw this, and at the end, people were clapping. Not a round of applause, mind you, but a lot of people were moved by this movie, I think. I'm gonna talk about the next thing that I really liked was the visuals. I saw this in IMAX, and I would recommend, if you have not seen any movie in IMAX, see this movie in IMAX. If you did not plan to see this movie in IMAX, if you plan to see it in 4DX or RPX, whatever, see it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX, and I think the visuals had my eyes like wide open the entire time. From beginning to end, this movie doesn't start slow. It starts with a meaningful beginning that builds character, which I didn't expect, but it does not start slow. And obviously a lot of it is CGI. There's practical too. I wouldn't say a lot of practical, but there is practical. But even the CGI, I think, was some of the best CGI I've seen in a long time. It was better than the CGI I saw in this Frankenstein movie on Netflix the other day. So this was really good visually, and that kind of is what, even more than the story, blew me away, because I didn't think it was going to be that good visually. The cinematography, the shots that are used here, like there's like these really cool overhead shots of this obviously CGI jungle. I'd assume mostly CGI jungle. A lot of great shots of Deck himself. We get a lot of cool kind of follow shots, camera angles that just, you know, when you have an action movie and you expect just to get those action kind of camera angles, you get a lot more than that with this film. So I just think everything cinematography-wise was really great, visual-wise was really great, and the music, the score from the beginning. The score is kind of like this. It sounds kind of Tron-like, kind of like techno jungle. I don't know how else to explain it, but like techno jungle music, like this electric jungle music. That was really good too, and I think every scene of this film just had a really, really, really good vibe. I don't really like that word, but a really good atmosphere, a really good like environment feeling. So really brings you in. And maybe that was just because I saw it in IMAX. But if that's the case, again, see it in IMAX. The last thing I will add to the visuals or the style of the movie is that, honestly, I heard this before I went in and saw it, but it is very video game-like. It has like a very kind of video game pace and presentation, if that makes sense. Like, I can literally see the way this movie was set up being set up and played out the exact same way as a video game that you would play on your console or on your PC. So I think that was really cool. For me, that was a positive. Now, something that was a negative that the film kind of reminded me of, it definitely has the vibes of like Star Wars / Mandalorian. And I saw some of the negatives, the people that really hated and disliked this movie, saying that was one of the things they disliked about it as well. I dislike that, but I don't think that like made the movie bad. Because again, I expect it. The Mandalorian, we made it successful. We all watched it and loved it and showed that to Disney. These companies don't know what to do. They're just going to regurgitate. They're just going to mirror. They're just going to give us back what we're showing them we liked. And if we showed them for years that we liked the Mandalorian and a lot of aspects of their Star Wars material, I'm not surprised they found ways to implement that here. And they did that. Again, not a big fan of how it kind of mirrored a lot of the Mandalorian. Did not like that. Other than that, I don't think it was specifically like any other Disney film or show that I've seen. So I think the big misunderstanding about this movie, or I think what the problem is with this movie, is that It is a Disney movie, unfortunately, because Disney owns 20th Century Fox, and I'm sure the high-ups and executives at Disney now have a saying, at least, or they have some talk in what happens with every property that is new to them. And of course, properties that are new to Disney still comes with fans that are old to the property, that have been part of this property and love this IP from the beginning. And this one goes back as far as, I think, the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's this issue, that because it's a Disney movie and it has some slight Disney influence, is gonna bring the automatic hate that comes with that. And some of it is warranted, some of it is not. Some of it is just absolutely just ridiculous. And I think that's the big issue. So if you can see past that, if you can put it to the side and say, yeah, this is a Disney movie, but let me take the aspects, or let me see what aspects of it are really Predator at heart. And from what I know of the Predator franchise, from what I've read and from what I have seen, from becoming a fan after, I think this movie has every aspect of that. So I don't understand what people would hate on it for, other than the fact it is a Disney movie. That's it for now. I'm Jay, again with Pop Up and with Hard Plastic Show. For more reviews that are unbiased and just real, please hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos on the channel, because that is what we do. Peace.